achieve this, we will lower the cost of starting a new business. So here's the thing. On average, it costs about $40,000 to start a new business in America. That is a great financial barrier for a lot of folks, and it can hold entrepreneurs back. And the current tax deduction for a startup is just $5,000, okay? So then you got to make up the delta there. Got to figure out how you're going to do that. Not everyone has access to that kind of wealth and capital. So part of my plan is we will expand the tax deduction for startups to $50,000. It's essentially a tax cut for starting a small business. Second, my plan will help existing small businesses grow. We will provide low and no interest loans to small businesses that want to expand, and we will, and this is very important, cut the red tape that can make starting and growing a small business more difficult than it needs to be. More difficult than it needs to be. For example, we will make it cheaper and easier for small businesses to file their taxes, similar to how individuals can take a standard deduction. You know, I said to my team, kind of like, now I'm going to date myself again because they no longer do it, but kind of like, you remember the 1040 EZ? Like that kind of idea, right? Like, let's just take away some of the bureaucracy in the process to make it easier for people to actually do something that's going to benefit our entire economy. Third, my plan will invest in small businesses and innovators throughout America, and here's why. We know that talent exists everywhere in our country, from rural towns to city centers, but not everyone has access to the financing, to venture capital, or expert advice. It's not that they don't have the skills, it's not that they don't have the work ethic. It's access to these resources. So under my plan, we will expand access to venture capital, we will support innovation hubs and business incubators, and we will increase federal contracts with small businesses. And we will have a particular focus on small businesses in rural communities, like right here in New Hampshire. Finally, my plan will make our tax code more fair while also prioritizing investment and innovation. So let us be clear. Billionaires and big corporations must pay their fair share in taxes. It's just not right that those who can most afford it are often paying a lower tax rate than our teachers and our nurses and our firefighters. It's just not right. It's just not right. So that's why I support a billionaire minimum tax and corporations paying their fair share. And while we ensure that the wealthy and big corporations pay their fair share, we will tax capital gains at a rate that rewards investment in America's innovators, founders, and small businesses. So here's the detail. If you earn $1 million a year or more, the tax rate on your long-term capital gains will be 28% under my plan, because we know when the government encourages investment, it leads to broad-based economic growth, and it creates jobs, which makes our economy stronger. Now compare that to what Donald Trump plans. He intends to cut off federal programs that give loans to small businesses. He plans to give billionaires massive tax cuts and to cut corporate taxes by over $1 trillion, even as they pull in record profits. His plans will add more than $5 trillion to the national debt, and that is on top of the $2 trillion tax cut he gave them when he was president and when he exploded the deficit. We know how to count. We know how to count. And now he also wants to impose what in effect is a national sales tax on everyday products and basic necessities, which will skyrocket the cost for families and small businesses. And New Hampshire, on top of all of this, if Donald Trump were to win in November, he intends to end the Affordable Care Act, which would significantly increase costs on small businesses, as we know. And, well, you know what? The courts are going to handle that, and we will handle November. How about that? How about that? That's how we'll handle that. How about that? But think about it. It wants to end the Affordable Care Act, taking us back to a time when insurance companies could deny people with pre-existing conditions. You remember what that was? Children with asthma, breast cancer survivors, grandparents with diabetes. So, yeah, look, we are here to tell him and them we are not going back. We're not going back. We're not going back. We're not going back. No, we are not, and we will move forward because ours is a fight for the future. And it is a fight for freedom. And it is a fight for freedom. Now, I don't have to tell the folks of New Hampshire, the live free or die state, you know the importance of individual freedoms, fundamental freedoms. You know how hard people fought for these freedoms and that they are foundational to who we are and what we stand for as America, including the fundamental freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government telling her what to do. And understand how we got here. Understand how we got here, and of course we're not going to fall for the gaslighting he's pushing, right? When he was president, Donald Trump handpicked 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as he intended, they did. And now, in more than 20 states in our nation, there is a Trump abortion ban. Many with no exceptions even for rape and incest, which is immoral. Immoral. And let us agree, and I know we do, one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government should not be telling her what to do with her body. And if he wins, you can be sure Donald Trump will go further. And he will sign a national abortion ban. And you know, Project 2025, which I mean, can you believe they put that thing in writing? And under Project 2025, he would create a national anti-abortion coordinator, which would force states, I mean, this is unbelievable, right? Which would force states to report on women's miscarriages and abortions. You know what they are making really quite clear? They just don't trust women. They just don't trust women. But we trust women. We trust women. And when Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedom as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. across our nation, across our nation, and I've been traveling for many, years actually, and certainly months most recently. Across our nation, I'm telling you, we are witnessing a full-on attack on hard-fought, hard-won fundamental freedoms and rights, including the freedom to vote, the freedom to be safe from gun violence, the freedom to breathe clean air and drink clean water, the freedom to love who you love openly and with pride. And so here's what I don't have to tell the folks of New Hampshire, because you know it so well, it's part of your DNA. Generations of Americans before us, they fought for freedom and they led the fight for freedom in our country. And now, the baton is in our hands. The baton is in our hands. So let us understand, which we do, our purpose at this very moment. Let us remember the broad shoulders upon which we stand and the traditions of this very fight that have led to what we have been able to accomplish. And let us understand then that when we say fight, it is a fight for something, not against something. It is for something. That's what we're talking about when we talk about a new way forward. This is for something. And so, as an example, let us finally pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. Let us finally pass an assault weapons ban and universal background checks and red flag laws. Because we are clear on that point, it is a false choice to say you're either in favor of the Second Amendment or you want to take everyone's guns away. I'm in favor of the Second Amendment, and I know we need reasonable gun safety laws in our country. And there's another point that I'd like to stress about this election in 24. This is not 2016 or 2020. The stakes are even higher this time for a number of reasons, but I'm going to mention one in particular. What the Supreme Court recently did when they basically just told the former president that going forward, he will effectively be immune no matter what he does in the White House. But let's take this seriously and understand what it means. Before, at least, there might have been the threat that there would be consequence and accountability. With that ruling, what this means is that almost explicitly he has been told no consequence. And imagine, just imagine Donald Trump with no guardrails. Just imagine with no guardrails. He has openly vowed to be a dictator on day one. He has said he would end the independence of the Department of Justice, the United States Department of Justice, so he could have the unchecked power to seek vengeance against people who disagree with him. He even called for, I'm going to quote now, the termination of the Constitution of the United States of America. Let us be very clear. Someone who suggests we should terminate the Constitution of the United States of America should never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States. Never again. So I'll end where I started. When it comes down to it, we are all here together because we love our country. We love our country. And we know the privilege and pride that comes with being an American. And I do believe It is one of the highest forms of patriotism to fight for the ideals of our country. That is how we realize the promise of America. And so with that being said, I ask New Hampshire, are you ready to have your voices heard? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise